The Athene Real Talk Podcast explores controversial ideas to stimulate debate and active thinking. These ideas do not always reflect Athene's personal views. Welcome to the Athene Real Talk Podcast.
He has been called the best gamer in the world, hands down.
World-famous gamer and philanthropist Athene.
Gaming for Good, it's called, has raised more than $20 million.
Using his notoriety to raise money for charity.
On activism, science, culture, and self-development.
Proud to have him in the studio today. I would not want to take you on in a video game.
Benify Never Subbing says, Athene, how can I stop giving a fuck what other people think about me? Let me give you the best argument in the world. Because they don't give a fuck. That's the best argument I can give. The reason why you shouldn't care about what people think about you and why you shouldn't give a fuck about it, because they don't give a fuck about it either. They don't care about their opinions about you. Just as much as you don't give a fuck about them, they don't give a fuck about you. Just apply your own knowledge to yourself and you'd figure out like, holy shit, nobody cares about my car, my clothes, about anything. They all care about themselves. So why should I care about what they think about me if they don't even care actually about me, just as much as I don't care about them? It's just broken logic. The moment you realize that nobody gives a shit about you, why would you even care about what they think about you? Gary's Harry says, I'm sorry if this is a stupid question, but I noticed you talk about awareness a lot. What should we be aware of? Everything boils down to awareness. Everything. Your ability to be less impulsive, your ability to take your actions in your own hands, your ability to make decisions that are more in line with what you think rather than impulsive social conditioning. Awareness is what defines your ability to be able to process this information that I'm giving you right now and putting it into practice. So awareness is a cornerstone of being human. And the problem is that awareness is way too much being cannibalized on because we act and we behave in certain ways that goes against ourselves. The way I see it, and this is just a simple theory, I don't know if this is true, but I already answered your question about awareness, but let me now try to make it more concrete in a very physical sense. And maybe I'm saying things that a neuroscientist would watch and go like, but what you're saying here is absolutely insane. When you look at your brain, your awareness, your consciousness, it's just waves. That's it. It's neurons firing and creating waves. And waves can either resonate with each other and enhance each other, or they can dissonate and cancel each other out. Now, if you have a brain with several neural networks that are sending waves, to put it that way, and you're the expression of that, then as a human entity, a human being, what you want is you want to expand what you are. And if certain neural circuits are going against each other, you want to reduce that. And that's basically like the more physical interpretation of cognitive dissonance. So when I say cognitive dissonance or confirmation bias or whatever, the reason behind you wanting to stop two contradictory ideas that are in your brain is because they're canceling each other out in a physical sense. When you look at your brain waves, they're actually canceling each other out, and what you want to do is you want to expand, you want to grow. And as a result, if you have two different ideas living, coexisting, you will try to reduce one idea and impose the other one on top of it to reduce the dissonance and to expand your awareness. Right now, we live in a society where a lot of the stuff we get, a lot of the impulses, a lot of the social conditioning goes against what we are. And as a result, they cancel out who you are in a sense. And as a result, your awareness shrinks. But as you find a certain balance and you find a way to have those different neural networks work with each other in a stable and in a fulfilling way, you expand on a physical sense your awareness. It's just like in music. If you hear an entire stadium playing music in a certain tempo, it sounds amazing. But if there is one guy there making a stupid sound or whatever, it will disrupt your experience. And the same boils down to even what you are in a very concrete sense. I don't know if this is correct or not, but this is just my interpretation of what I've read in psychology and neuroscience and applied on my understanding of quantum mechanics and science of how waves can cancel and enhance each other. So awareness is the manifestation of what you are in a very physical sense, and the more you are coherent with yourself, the bigger your awareness becomes. Isn't that beautiful? Basically, going against yourself in a physical sense, if this was to be true, goes against what you are in a very real way. The beauty of what you are, going against yourself, cannibalizes on who you are in a very physical way. It's crazy, huh? Simon MS says, okay, Athene, I got a question. I'm a 16-year-old guy from Norway, and after this summer, I'm gonna start my last 3 years on school. I'm gonna pick what classes I take, and that will decide what I can do with my life. For example, I can learn to be a mechanic or learn how to build houses, work in the IT or whatever. I want to work with computers, with software, but that's all I know. I have no idea what to do with my life, no idea. Do you have any tips or something I should do? Please give me some feedback. Thank you. The problem with your question is that my answer can be extremely controversial, but it's also only applicable to certain type of people. The most honest answer applies to people with a certain mindset. And I don't know if you have that mindset. But honestly, if you believe that school is what defines your life, you're already thinking it all wrong. Because school is not what defines your life. It's you and your decisions that decide what your life is going to look like. And the school system is just a framework. It's a prefabricated framework. And if you really want to achieve things in life and in the world, you have to think outside the framework, outside the box. Because economy and the world is changing all the time. Most of the things that are going to be very, very important in the next 5 years are not even being studied in school yet. So you always have to think outside the box. And if you don't do that, then of course you need school and you need a framework in order to find a job and just fit in the system. But the problem is doing so will not allow you to do what you really want in life. Because based on your question, I already see that you're already social conditioned and want to fit in. And that is something you have to break through. A lot of people go through life day in, day out, doing what their parents want, what their friends want them, what the school wants them to do. You don't make your own choices. And then you're 18 or 19 or 20 years old and it's time for you to actually start your life and you don't have trained the ability or the capacity to actually take your own life in your own hands. You haven't learned to take initiative. You only have learned to walk in the footsteps of other people and you haven't learned how to think for yourself. And that's why I think those real talks are so important, because I try to have people challenge their own social conditioning, their own social frameworks, so they can start thinking for themselves rather than just doing what other people think. How many people right now are watching this stream and do have absolutely no clue what to do with their lives? Absolutely zero clue. You think that is normal? I would think if I go 20 years of my life in school, I would at least learn how to make a choice and know what to do with my life, right? So how many people here watching this stream have absolutely no clue? You went to university, you went to high school, you went to middle school or whatever, and you still have absolutely no clue what to do. And the reason why is because the system is not designed to teach you what to do. The system is designed to fabricate zombies, robots. That's what it is. And then you get all those social judgment all around it, telling you this and that. But the problem with that is that it doesn't teach you how to think for yourself. And that is what's so important. On one end, people go and say like, you have to be free and freedom of this and freedom of that. And on the other hand, they teach you how to fit in and to just be mindless consumer zombies. The most stupid people on earth are people who ask others what they should do in life. Akar97. I actually think that those are not the most stupid ones, because you have a version that is even more stupid that doesn't even ask what to do. They just do what other people want them to do. They don't even ask themselves the question. So those people are even more stupid. So asking yourself the question is already a step forward and a step ahead of people not asking any questions at all. Arena Player says, but you are teaching yourself in school. That's how you learn. People with that kind of mindset, I would never hire them. If you come and you are swinging with your diploma, I know how fucking dumb you are. And a lot of companies are exactly like that, by the way. I had a talk with a few people at Razer and they just said, if there's a guy coming to apply and he's showing his diploma, we just laugh. That's not what we need. They don't need that. I'm talking about Razer and more progressive companies. They don't care about diplomas. They care about experience. It's really the reality. I'm not even making this shit up. Look at companies. They all want experience. And then you have students just graduating and saying like, the world doesn't make sense. I went to school, I did everything they told me, and now when I try to find a job, they say you need experience. How am I supposed to have experience if I went to university and I have all those bills to pay, I don't have the money to pay it, and I can't find a job because I don't have experience? The world is unfair. No, the world is not unfair. You're just following orders. And that's not what the world needs. It's that simple. That's the reality. This is the real talk. And they don't even teach you that in university. So while you're at it, take the best time in your life. The best time is when you are a student and your parents are still taking care of you. Take that time to be proactive rather than sitting behind your PC playing games all day and then just studying and rushing it during the exams. Take your life in hands, use that time, and honestly, you will thank me for the rest of your life. Take that time to figure out stuff for yourself, to get experience, to learn things, and then you will be successful at life. And every single guy here that is a little bit older and has a little bit life experience will say, guys, this is probably the most important thing that Athene has said in his Real Talks. Take note. Use the time when you can and you're not hanging on a thin line of paying bills and you have actually the mind space to think. Use that time to figure out what you want to do with your life and study. Study what you want to learn. Get experience. That's much more important than university or whatever. But no, you go to school, you go to university, what do you learn? You gotta party, you gotta drink, you gotta have fun. Depending on where you live, you get a very big bill. And then you're done with university. If you're good, you graduate. And then you have to, pay 30, 40K? You're basically starting your life with a big, fat debt. For what? Athene, get experience in what? Well, in what you want. If you want to be a game developer, for example, you just get in modding, you try out stuff. Blizzard, for example, has taken a lot of people that made great add-ons. So make a crazy trailer, for example. Make a crazy machinima. Do something special. Like offer your help for free to YouTubers, for example, to build a website. Teach yourself, depending on what you want to do, of course. GS Reaper says, you can't be a doctor without straight A math and biology. There is a system you have to follow. I get what you mean, but really stating that you can become anything without school is a lie. I'm not saying you can become anything without school. I'm saying you can become anything with the right mindset. And the right mindset is more important than school. And if you have the right mindset and you want to become a doctor, then you're in a much better spot to become a doctor through school and through studying. But you first have to have the right mindset to figure out what you want to do with your life. If I want to work for CERN, for example, of course I have to become a PhD in physics. But if I have the right mindset, I'd be much better in shape to do so than if I'm just following social conditioning and I don't really know what to do with my life. So it's important to understand when I talk about school and I say like university and school is not the most important thing and there is more important things, it's not because I'm saying that school and university is complete redundant. I'm just saying if you don't know what to do and you're just going to school with the wrong mindset, you will be in front of some crazy surprises once you finish school or university. And a lot of the time of going to university is the best time in your life to figure out what you want to do. And a lot of people don't think about that. They just go through life very impulsively, very primitively. And the school system sucks. If you want to be a lawyer or if you want to be a surgeon, you have to go to university. You can't get a surgeon without going to university. Did you go to university? I went to night school university. You have that here in Belgium. It's like university, but for adults and during the night. So for people that have a day job. And it was actually a cheat because you can go there since 18. They're much easier on you. So I got the same degree, but I had to do 10 times less. Abuse of school mechanics, that's why I call it. I have the same graduation as Reese. And he went to high school and I just went to night school and he had to do 10 times more than me. But I don't know what they call it though. In Belgium, I know it's the same. Stick Inator HD says, silent viewer here, want to thank you for doing these Real Talks. They help me, especially now when it's summer break and I have nothing to do. You have given me motivation to do something self-study. Want to be a programmer. Well, I'm glad I did because it's going to teach you more. And honestly, in 5 years or whatever, you will really come back to me and say like, Athene, what you said back in the days, it really means a lot because if it wasn't for that, I would just impulsively going through my life, doing what other people ask from me. But I tell you, man, I tell all of you guys, doing what other people tell you, social conditioning, doing what your parents tell you, your teachers tell you, is not gonna make you succeed in life. Put that really good in your head. It is not enough anymore. Maybe 30 or 40 years ago, it was enough. And you can't even blame your parents. But the time has changed. The world is so much more competitive. It's ever changing. You have to have an adaptable mindset if you want to succeed in life nowadays. You can't just go on autopilot and then expect that when you're done with your university or everything was expected, that you suddenly will get a freaking good life cake presented in front of you. It's not like that anymore. And I see a lot of students that finish their studies and then end up cleaning toilets, like literally cleaning toilets. And they go like, yeah, there is nothing else I can do. There is nobody taking me because nobody wants someone without experience. So don't make that mistake. Irovian says, so what you're saying is that you are the only people should listen to. You are selfish. Irovian, I don't even know what you're saying. But you don't even have to listen to me. I don't even tell people to listen to me. I tell people to challenge their beliefs. And if there's one thing you should listen to, it's to that. Challenge your beliefs. Challenge what you have been taught. And I'm not telling you what your conclusion has to be or what you have to believe, but just use your own brain and think for yourself. So if you want to listen to me, the only thing I tell you is to think for yourself. That's the only thing I demand. If I can be, a dictator and demand one thing, I would tell people, think for yourself. Dai Satagurk says, I have a serious question to you. I'm in the age where I have to decide what I want to do in the future. Do you think that it is more important to raise as much money as I can? I currently study economics with best grade and donate it in 50 years, or is it worth more if I become an emergency doctor or fireman or any other job like this? The best thing you can do is to first make sure you are financially independent. That means you don't have to worry about the bills. You don't stay up at night wondering how you're gonna pay the bills the next day. Once you are in a situation where you're completely financially stable and independent, then you can start thinking, what do I wanna do now? What is my passion? What do I want to achieve in life? And if you want to do the best thing in the world and contribute to the world in the best way, the best thing you can do is to find other people with your same mindset and work together. Because you can do more than double if you're with 2 people, more than triple if you're with 3 people. Find other people, get feedback, think about those things. And I would go even as far, if you're really high-end quality, you can work in this environment with us. And that's not working for me, it's working with me. So you do your own thing, I do my own thing, and we're just here to contribute to each other. Added value. Emergency doctor and a fireman, honestly, if you don't do it, someone else will. But proactively trying to make as big difference as possible every single day, that is a job that does not exist and that the world needs. But a fireman, honestly, if they don't hire one fireman, they'll hire another one. So those people are easily replaceable. But someone that every day in his life tries to make a difference and is open-minded and thinks about it in a most efficient way and do it in a rational way, not an emotional one. Those are the kind of people that are too rare in this world. Ikena says, Athene, what do you think about working contracts? Like I work 4 days and go 1 day school a week and learn a trade like that? Well, yeah, you can do that. I mean, I'm not telling people how to live their life. You guys can think about it. Just don't go through life in an impulsive way, that's all. Don't go through your life on autopilot, because at a certain point you'll be in front of a cliff. You'll actually drive over the cliff, and while you're falling, you go like, but I was driving and took the directions people gave me. It's your fault that you're driving off the cliff, bro. It's your fault you're driving to the cliff as well. At every single point in time, you could think for yourself, but the problem is they don't teach you that. So that's why it's so important that I'm telling you guys that. Because not a lot of people say this shit. My Sklupa says, you're answering the same questions all the time. You should try to make a large ass stream to raise a shit ton of money like you did 3 years ago. If you do this, you will probably get a lot more fans again. So if you make yourself big and appear all over social media, you can probably make it again. Think comeback. Match Klumpen doesn't work like that. Charity streams actually have the opposite effect. Less and less people watch. And also, I'm working on the Avengers. There's a video about it on YouTube, which is going to be even bigger than Operation Sharecraft. And will raise a lot of money as well. Athene, I want to get into stocks. Any tips? You need a starting capital. You have to have the right mindset so you can't tilt. For the rest, I don't have insight in stocks. I didn't do it myself. Soccer32 says, Athene, I'm vegetarian since I was born and actually none of my friends are vegetarian. Is there any way I could convince them to stop eating meat? I tried many ways, but they're just blind and deaf for true. No, you don't have to convince people. Don't talk to people about vegetarianism, man. It's a waste of time. Right?
Yeah.
Is it also a waste for time of you?
Yeah.
You think so? So you're gonna go back home and start eating meat again?
All the day.
Like nice steak?
Yeah. First
Good.
thing I'm gonna tell my mom.
Make
a big fat steak.
Make a big fat steak. So you see, if I can't convince this little guy here, let alone you guys about your friend. Black Eagle says, Athene, do you think that if I want a future in science, would be good to use my free time studying and reading articles about physics and then, of course, go to university? Well, the thing is, if you want to be a scientist, you have to read articles all the time because science changes. It's a very enriching branch to take, but you have to read about stuff all the time because there's new discoveries every day. Actually, how good of a scientist you are is most of the time based on how much study you do, how much articles and things you read. Zario says, what does you and your crew work with off stream? What are you looking for in people? Well, people have to have the right mindset, and not a lot of people have the right mindset. Define the right mindset, Athene. I've talked a lot about it in a lot of live streams. Having the right mindset, what I look for is people that are proactive, that really want to do the right thing and are their own manager, take initiative. Also people that are not attached or emotionally invested in their beliefs, are open-minded, are rational, and really want to do the right thing, are really driven to do the right thing in their life. What is also important is that they don't have an ego. They can't have an active ego, because having an active ego just would cause trouble. And you have to put your ideas into practice. That's also really important. So for example, Mr. Amir here, he can be saying like, yeah, eating meat is wrong, but I still eat it. He can't say that. But I'm cutting him some slack right now. But when he's a little bit longer here, I'm not going to cut him some slack anymore. I'm going to be like, dude, you got to figure out what you want to do with your life. Either hypocrite or live right action life. You're young enough to decide. Easy, right?
Yeah.
You're 18 now. You're responsible for your actions, right?
Yes.
You do whatever you want, you know.
Of course I do whatever I want.
But I also do whatever I want.
Yeah.
You live in my house. But yeah, what I wanted to say is I think there is so much potential in all of you. Like really honestly, I really believe there is so much potential in all of you. And a lot of you have more potential than me. And yet still, for so many, it goes to a waste. And that is why I'm so driven and motivated to do those real talks. Because I truly believe in you guys. I don't want to say I'm the freaking smartest or whatever, but I can tell you guys that if you think for yourself and you have the right mindset, you can grow as a human being to such an extent that is insane and achieve so much for yourself and for others. And that is why it's so important to challenge certain wrong, flawed ideas that just clock you up. Just like malware that is running on a PC. Get rid of that. Think for yourself, think clear, and grow. It's really what it is. I'm not saying this because I want to make you guys feel better. I'm saying this because it's true. You guys really think that I would just stand here day in, day out, do real talk all day long just because I want to hear myself talk? I got better things to do than that shit. I do this because I believe in you guys.
Subscribe to youtube.com/AtheneWins. Watch the live stream at twitch.tv/AtheneLive and follow the real Athene on Snapchat.